Have you ever felt like in your business that you're showing up every day and it just feels like you're spinning? It feels like you are there to check a bunch of boxes. It's like a whirlwind of you're just jumping from one thing to the next. I see this so often with the CEOs and the mom entrepreneurs that I'm working with. And it's really a product of our own doing, and we're doing it almost unconsciously because we know that there are a lot of things that have to be done in the business. We know that in order to move forward in completing the goals that we have, that there are legitimate things that have to be done. We know that we have teams in place to support us. We know that we can delegate. We know that we don't have to do everything, but yet we still find ourselves in this place time and time again. And it feels like everything that we have listed to do is equally important. And furthermore, it feels like that taking the time to delegate things out, or taking the time to put processes and procedures in place to be able to delegate, or taking the time to make sure we have the right people in the right roles supporting us, feels like it's too much work up front that we don't have the time for. So we end up in this place time and time again where we have this full list of to-dos that there's always stuff getting added to that we can never really meet. And we never take the time or the space to actually just check in and ask ourselves, like, what is my role in this business? What should I be working on? And truthfully, regardless of the number of years in business for the clients that I work with, because I have some that have been in business for a couple of years, 3 years maybe, and then I have some who have been in business for over 20. And across the board, every single one of these women is doing things that are either an administrative task, or they're holding on to things because they assume that if they step away or don't work as much, that their team will be mad at them or feel like they're not supporting them, or they feel guilty about delegating tasks, and they're telling themselves all of these different stories that keep them basically as an employee of their own company. So today I want to give you clarity on, as a CEO, what you should and shouldn't be doing. I want to give you my system and my process for being able to have clarity on the action that I actually take. Because if we're just constantly taking action in all different directions and not taking that moment to step back and assess and audit our own role, like we would do for the people in our businesses, then we just keep ending up in this place time and time again. So if you are tired of feeling like you are an employee of your own business, if you are frequently finding yourself overwhelmed and you recognize that you are holding on to things that possibly could be delegated, but maybe you don't see how or when, or again, maybe you just are drowning so badly right now that you're like, there's no time for me to run the business the way I actually need to run the business. If you feel like this, then this will be an important episode for you. So thank you for being here, and let's get into it. So there are so many moving parts in a business. And the more people that you serve, the more pressure, the more problems. There is no way for us to completely eliminate problems, right? No matter what anybody's fancy marketing will tell you. There is a way to alleviate and make problem solving easier. And there is ways that we can work on ourselves as leaders to change the way that we resolve and respond to problems, which is always the goal. We can't eliminate problems from happening. We can control us being responsive instead of reactive. We can control the type of support that we have in place, and we can control how we are setting things up for ourselves and our teams to thrive. So if it feels like you're spinning and you're not necessarily getting anything done, or if it feels like you are having to run in place just to sustain the business because it's so busy, what I want to tell you first and foremost, that one of the most important things for you to do as the founder, owner, and CEO of your business is to have time outside of your business, outside of meetings, outside of being client facing, outside of talking to your team, for you to strategically think, for you to go through and plan the steps for your bigger vision, because that is so frustrating when you are an entrepreneur with a million ideas and you feel like you can't act on any of them because you're being imprisoned by your current calendar. You have to stop doing things just for the sake of doing things, which is where people get stuck. We're not taking a step back to evaluate and think before we act. We're not looking at the things that we're putting on our to-do list and seeing, is this actually something that's aligned with that bigger vision? And furthermore, sometimes we lose touch with what the bigger vision is. And the bigger vision becomes so minimized because we're just trying to keep up. So why we get stuck here is because we don't have the time or the energy to devote to the things that our time and our energy need to be devoted to. One of the things I will forever take a stand for is fulfillment of you personally as a woman has to come before everything else. Your happiness and personal fulfillment dictates your success. And this is because there is no level of success that you will reach that will fill a hole that is there and existing because of your own personal issues that you're unwilling to look at. So prioritizing your personal fulfillment, again, takes time and energy. If your business is sucking you dry and you don't have time to devote to being present with your children, being present with your partner, taking care of yourself, even making self-care appointments. I cannot tell you how many clients that I've had that, have not made their yearly exam or dentist appointments because everything on their calendar is business related. So this is more in your mind. This is about what you view as valuable and moving the needle forward. And what I want to reassure you with is that there is no forward momentum. There is no bigger vision without you being the visionary, without you dedicating time and energy and space to strategically thinking about and planning for that bigger picture. If you're just doing all the doing, you actually don't move forward. And this is why a lot of people get stuck. You may rise really quickly and maybe you're continuing to gain revenue. But again, that revenue, those milestones don't feel like they are anything if you're not happy. So I wanted to preface, before we get into the system for clarity, I wanted to preface this. I want to preface everything I ever put out with that, honestly. But I wanted to preface with that because it's something that I believe in. I know that all of my clients are actively implementing into their lives, and your happiness needs to become a filter for the decisions that you make in your business. Everything. The way that you structure your business, the way that you structure your offers, the way that you lead your team, the people that you hire, the types of people, the roles that you hire, your happiness has to be accounted for. It is one of the pieces that is overlooked, but is directly connected to the sustainability. And I don't know about you, but I'm here for a long time. I know that in order to create the biggest impact in this world, that I need to be able to sustain a certain level of energy and expertise that will only happen if I have the time and space that refills those cups that can be devoted to that time. So recently I was having a conversation with my father-in-law, and this is really cool. I honestly have the coolest in-laws. I love Eric's parents so much. They actually owned a very successful company and recently sold this company. And I love picking his brain and her brain, because they were in different parts of the business. And so I asked him yesterday, actually, what do you think are the key parts of having a successful business? And he said some really simple but powerful stuff. He said that first and foremost, you have to have a good product, right? Which we know this, and that good product is what keeps people coming to you. That good product is what gets you referrals. You have to do good work. And so I want to unpack that just for a second on, like, if we think about having a good product and doing good work, what does that actually take? A lot of people can develop a good product, but they don't think about what it takes to sustain that level of what good looks like, right? For me to sustain the depth of care that I have for my clients, it means that I have capacity limits. It means that for me to have enough emotional availability, enough leadership availability, enough time availability for my clients, then I have to consider my capacity, which means that I know that I can only take a certain amount of clients. I can support people to a certain level within a certain amount of time, right? And so thinking about, okay, we need a good product and we need to be able to maintain that good product. So it requires us paying attention to our energy levels and our capacity. It also requires us being innovative, right? Because things change. And if we don't change with the times, we get left behind. So are we constantly learning? Do we actively put in time to gather new knowledge and build new skills? Because that's something that it's not a set it and forget it, right? You have to actively, whether it's an actual product or a service-based product, it's going to change and evolve over time, as it should. And so just in being able to create and maintain a good product, that requires you paying attention to yourself, your energetic capacity, your emotional capacity. It also requires time, space, and energy that is devoted to your evolution and the evolution of your product. Okay? So then secondly, he said, everything that we built was built because of the way that we communicated with our customers. And this was like, I'll be honest with you, like, my ego definitely got stroked because I've developed such a good service that I get so many referrals, and I prioritize my client experience over everything. Like, I'm always asking for feedback. I want to always make things better. I will go above and beyond within my capacity for clients. So I was like, yes, I'm checking his boxes, like the little kid in me. So anyways, but this part, right, that is the client communication, the client experience, the customer satisfaction. This is something that I think in the beginning stages of business, a lot of people will prioritize because they, we're women, we're people pleasers. We're like, oh, I want to make everybody happy. But then when your ambition almost can work against this because you're like, I need bigger, I need better, I need more. And so how can you grow bigger, impact bigger, while also delivering a great client experience? Which, if you haven't listened to the episode yet, I did a whole episode on how to deliver a great client experience while also maintaining your boundaries. And there's definitely a balance there, right? So within this, in order to create that great client experience, once again, we're just talking about communication skills and communication basics of like how we treat people, right? How we treat people is reflective of how we feel about ourselves. And so if we're not feeling good about ourselves, like all of us have been on the receiving end of like somebody that's having a bad day. You know, you can go to get groceries, right? And have somebody who loves their job and is so happy and talks about how cute your kids are. And then you can go and like have somebody that doesn't even make eye contact with you. Two different experiences in the same place. And so you think about the differences in the way that people interact and what makes people interact in a more friendly, kind, empathetic way. It is the way that they feel about themselves. And so this is the personal work. This is the leadership work. This is the work that, again, can be ignored because we're so busy, right? And so just this conversation with him was just so insightful because, you know, they had this multi-million dollar company, they had more referrals and more business than they could handle, right? And they did it for a really long time. And so it was a great reminder of, and he said something to the effect of like, to be honest with you, it's pretty simple. And that was so refreshing for me to hear because I'm like, it really is. We love to overcomplicate things. We love to think about, you know, about the tech and the back end and the funnels and yes, there are so many pieces and parts of a business that are necessary. But once again, I think that it's very easy for us to forget about the core and the things that really matter within our business. And in order to sustain those things that matter, we need to have time, energy, and space to innovate, to evolve, to work on our knowledge, to work on our skill set, and to work on our leadership development. And if our business is taking all the time we have in our calendars and we're not devoting those things, we're setting ourselves up to fail. So knowing that, here's how you can be more clear on the action that you need to be taking in your business. So CEOs, primarily the things that we need to be working on typically fall into like 4 buckets, right? So bucket number 1 is building relationships. Bucket number 2 is your client customer relationships, your client customer experience. Bucket number 3, your team culture, your team experience. Let's not forget that just like we prioritize the client experience and the people that are on the receiving end, we have this whole team of people that are saying, hey, we believe in you and your mission. Like, we need to be really, really supportive and thankful for them. And then last but not least is that big vision innovative work. And so those are kind of your 4 buckets that I want you to think about. And so when you are putting to-dos or something getting thrown your way, I want you to ask yourself and be honest, like, is it in these 4 buckets? And if it's not in these 4 buckets, then who does it need to be delegated to? And so I want you to audit your current CEO responsibilities and think about, look at your to-do list, look at the things that are on your calendar. Do they fall in alignment with these 4 buckets? And then I want you to get clear on, you know, your 4 buckets may be slightly different based upon your industry and where you are in your business right now, but you need to get really clear on like what the needle movers are in your business. What things are you actively working on that are directly connected with that bigger vision? Without clarity on these things, this is what's going to keep you spinning, just doing anything and everything to make you feel like you're productive. And then speaking of productive, so I want you to obviously remember the 4 buckets. Then I want you to look at your role and your responsibility and your current calendar and to-do list and see, is what I'm doing, does it fall within those 4 buckets? And then after that, you're like, okay, I have all these things that are on my to-do list that necessarily don't fall in these buckets. Like, what do I do? So you're an easy process for when you have a to-do is using the 4 Ds to maximize productivity. You may have heard of these, you may have not. But the 4 Ds are do, delay or defer, delegate or delete. Right? And so you have an option. You can make this big list, you can brain dump, and then I will literally go through my list, and like the only things that are on my do list are things that are actively connected to my buckets, right? Anything outside of that is getting delayed. You know, that's, let's say it's a certain email that, you know, it's not a client email, right? That can be delayed or deferred out, right? And then delegated, right? Every single one of us, I just had a client call this morning where we were talking about things that she was holding on to. Again, kind of more of these administrative tasks, just because she was feeling guilty about delegating out to her team. Understand that when you delegate, you also empower. Delegating isn't about like just throwing stuff at people because you don't feel like doing it. Delegating allows you the space to do everything we've talked about today that is actually really, really important for your business. So see if you can run through those 4 Ds and see how that helps you. And speaking of getting organized and really learning how to effectively lead your business, I am doing a free 3-day business boot camp. And this is going to be very much to get your shit together. So if you are somebody who has found yourself spinning, who has the never ending to-do list, who wants clarity on the action to take, who really is just like, I know that I can't continue running my business the way that I'm running it, I want to invite you to join us. Again, this is a free 3-day event. If you can't make the event live, you'll get access to all the replays. We'll put it in the show notes for you so you can sign up. Again, it's free. No cost to you. I'm just going to help you get organized in your business, give you some relief, and allow you to open this space to work on the things that we've talked about today. So make sure you get signed up for that. Thank you for listening today. I hope this has given you some clarity on what you should be working on as a CEO and allowed you to start strategically thinking about how you're going to clear this space and time. And once again, join me for the business boot camp and we'll get that time cleared for you. So I will talk to you guys next week.